Alrighty, so I had the brightest idea to plug in my headphones. So you guys should be able to hear me a little bit more loudly now, because my headphones have this microphone right next to me. So hopefully this works out a little bit better. Let me know if you think it's better and everything. Alright, so I'm going to try and make this as short as possible because I've realized that I go way too in-depth about stuff. But again, I'm going to make this a two-part. I'm going to do this side first, and then the general stuff, and then I'm going to do this side because this side is a little bit more detailed. So for right now, it's just more of a background, real quick. This could be way more accurate, and I know that. So I don't want anyone telling me, "Oh, this is supposed to be like that," and da 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 da. I know. I've done my research. The only reason why it looks like that is because of structural support problems or for the lack of detail. What I mean for a better lack of detail is the fact that not a lot of people are really going to notice, and just the general public isn't going to care if I really put that much detail. And I personally, there's certain details that I appreciate, but then there's certain details that I just is going to be so much work, and it's going to be so minute that it doesn't matter. It's just ridiculous. An example are the muzzle flash holes, or whatever you want to call it. They're supposed to be staggered right here. I didn't cut them out because it's just going to be so much work, and it's going to eventually, the majority of it is eventually going to get covered up. To me, there's no point in it. If I'm making one for someone else, then yeah, I'm going to do it. But it's for me, and it's for a class project mainly, and I don't have months on end to work on this. And on top of that, I use this with not a lot of money. I only use the stuff that I already had. So that's the disclaimer or whatever. That's the reason why half of this stuff, it might not be 100% accurate, especially the scope. But again, there's a reason behind it. It's not because some of it is because I'm lazy, but at the same time it's because I don't have time to not be lazy, if that makes sense. Alright, actually getting into the video now. What you're going to need is PVC pipe, foam, or whatever kind of material that you prefer to use that's like in blanks. Foam is just very good because it can be structurally sound, sandable. I'll get into that in another video, but regardless, whatever kind of blank material that you can get that's, in big blanks, feel free to use whatever you want, given the fact that, you know what kind of tools that you need to cut it. In this case, foam, you just need like an Ejection knife or scissors and a hot glue gun. So that's the tools that I use, is scissors, an Ejection knife, and a glue gun. That's pretty much it. Again, going with materials, foam, PVC pipe. I used ABS pipe only because that's what I had. You can just use PVC. Hot glue, popsicle sticks, and a little school glue cap, or anything the same approximate size. Okay, so that's that. So what I did at first was I took a length of tube, roughly 19 inches. Again, also I'm 90% sure that this is a slight bit bigger than the original prop, so also keep that in mind. Mine might be a little bit bigger. So just cut it however you see fit, or whatever details that you might know more than me. So yeah, I did that, and then I cut out the general handle shape, just again eyeballing it and everything. And what I kind of did was I did a little bit of a rule of you have a third behind the handle and you have 2/3 in front of the handle. Again, that's not completely accurate, but basic idea. I ended up cutting into the pipe before I actually did all the gluing because I forgot that this piece extended behind the handle. So I used that as a guide. After I made that, I made the trigger guard with just a strip of foam right here. And then, I just kind of did a rough base, and then I glued it on there. So then it kind of retains this basic shape. And then what I did, also, sorry I forgot to mention this, you might want to get a PVC end cap. I didn't use one because I just did not have one on hand, and I wasn't going to wait around for my dad to wait a month to go out and grab one. So you can just grab one of those. They're like 30 cents. So you can just grab one of those and you can skip this step. If you don't have one, or you just can't find one, or you just don't want to use one for whatever reason, another thing that you can use is either thin EVA foam, or you can use the thicker stuff, and you can wrap it around until you have about 1/8 of an inch gap, and then you can cut it in half thickness wise, and then it'll close up the gap. And then you can just glue it all the way around the pipe, and then you can pop a little circle on the inside. And then with a sanding or with a rotary tool, you can, or a Dremel, same thing, you can sand it. But I did this at school, so I didn't have my Dremel with me. But you can very easily use one to make everything a little bit more clean. The next step that I did was I made the hand grip for the, for this folding stock. Mainly just the hand grip. They don't ever actually unfold it. And that's why I glued it on here without actually making it to where it folds out. Another thing, this little strip that goes from there, it's also not that hard to make. It's literally just a strip of foam or whatever. I didn't put it on there because I just didn't have the time. The foam that I had was too thick. Alright, so this piece, what I did is I took this general shape, cut it out, flipped it over, cut it out again, and then I took a little blank, glued it from the end, and then angled it as much as I thought it was angled, glued an extra little piece in there to keep it like that, and then glued the side pieces on. Alright, staying on this end, again, you can do this way more accurately. I'm even going to do it because this somehow happened. But what I did is I glued a piece on the inside of the barrel, and then I glued another smaller circle, and then a smaller circle. There's supposed to be a bunch of other little ridges on here that you can do if you want. I didn't do it because, again, the detailing is so minute that it doesn't really matter. Then the sight that I did is completely inaccurate, and I know that. I'm going to end up ripping it off and making a better one. But if you can just kind of get the same basic shape that they end up getting with a little hump, and then a bridge, and then another hump that's hollow. You can see some reference photos for that. Alright, now towards the middle of the ejection port, if I were you, I'd cut the ejection port out first. I didn't do that, again, because I didn't have my Dremel, so I just decided that I'm going to eventually paint this little box silver. It'd be better if you cut it out, maybe put a piece of foam or slid something down the barrel to where it's right here, and then paint it silver afterwards. I took another piece of foam, cut it out to where it's really thin, and glued it on for the little ejection port guard. And then for the charging bolt, if you want, again, you can also cut a little slot behind it. I didn't because, again, it would screw up the integrity of the pipe. And then I just got 2 pieces of foam, one bigger circle, one smaller circle, and glued it on top of each other. Eventually I'm going to sand it down to where it's a little bit more uniform. Moving back on, right here, took 2 pieces of foam, glued it together, cut this little half circle out, and then glued it onto the barrel as center as I possibly could get it. And then after that, I took another strip of foam and glued it down. I know the rail is supposed to be really, really thin and hovering. You should be able to see through it. I just didn't have anything like that at the time, so I just did this. It's not that big of a deal to me, at least. And then the T-tracks. So the T-tracks, I mean, some of them are even a little bit loose. Again, if you really want to, you can drill out the holes that are staggered on here. The reason why I didn't do that is for a better lack of detail. And what I mean by that is I didn't have the time to do it, I don't have the accuracy to do it, and I don't really even have the parts to do it. I do have this little sanding bit on the Dremel that I could slowly, basically countersink into a hole. It would ruin that bit, and I'm just not accurate enough. I don't trust myself enough to do that. I've seen people get paper and do that, but I just don't trust myself from doing that. If you do, or if you have something accurate that can do it, and you do want to do it, and you have more time, then go ahead and do it. It's just, on top of that too, 90% of it is going to end up being covered, except for the bottom one, and this one little track right here, and that's it. And it's hardly even noticeable, so I just didn't bother. But if you want. And then what I did is I took popsicle sticks and I glued 5 of them, 2 on either side and then 1 on top. Then I took a thinner piece of foam, glued it a little bit longer than the popsicle sticks on the other side, and then cut an angle into them to kind of look like it's going into the circles. So yeah, that's really it. And also they're going to be a little bit, they're going to have a little bit of play. So if you want, you can, yeah, like that one right there. I need to glue that down again. But yeah, again, you can change whatever you want on here if you absolutely need to. And I'm totally fine with that. I'm just showing you guys some basic steps because I know a lot of people with these projects just don't know where to start. So this is mainly just to help with people making one in general. And again, you can get as accurate as you want, or you can not be as accurate as you want. It's really up to you. I'm not gonna judge. All right. Thanks for watching. I actually kept this video relatively short. I'm gonna talk about the other side in the next video, which is gonna come out here in however long it takes you to click on it.